the soil.
So you merged this.
Genuine.
I did, but I
And I
don't
thought you, some of us, you did it on your knees.
dignitaries. This is people going
No.
back.
Yeah,
People couldn't get back
Did you
up.
see that?
Yeah, well, that's the
So I'll
problem.
put you
Oh my
online.
God. Whose picture I got?
You get too old.
You know,
But most people don't.
when you select somebody else's house.
"5:30, welcome to the Board of Education meeting. We're happy that you are here. Please rise and we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag
Of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for
for
all.
all. Point of information,
Point of information.
under God, never used to be in the Pledge of Allegiance. You know who put it in there?
Oh my goodness.
Eisenhower,
Yes, Eisenhower, he knows.
it was in the 50s.
Yep.
Does anyone else remember the 50s? Just, no,
Back in the 1900s.
back in the hundreds. 78 degrees today. It's almost springtime, so we're hopeful it stays this way.
Yeah, but 34 next Friday.
We didn't hear that. We'll stay with the 78 today. All right, so the first order of business is the approval of minutes. We have 3 different sessions. One was a regular schedule, and we have 2 special meetings. Can I hear a motion to accept all minutes? Here. Mr. Slowpak. Second by Chris. Any comments, corrections, anything? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Passes. Recognition awards, I will turn it over to Superintendent Lassard.
All right. Before we do the recognition awards, we're going to do the Board of Education Appreciation Month. So if Joe, we have a video to show.
Thank you for all you do, board members.
That's awesome.
There's a little token gift on each of, in front of you, that we put together. I should say, I say we and me and Amber.
Keep these away from my grandchildren, I'll be fine. We'll all be good.
All right.
Thank you all.
I got this for you.
All right, so we're gonna, at the February Volunteer of the Month, they were not here, so I'm gonna call up Andrew and Natasha. Where are you? There they are. All right, so February Volunteer of the Month, we would like to nominate, this was actually nominated by Principal Carolina Mendez Krasinski and Assistant Principal Amy Edwards. We'd like to nominate Andrew and Natasha Hoffman for Volunteer of the Month in recognition for their outstanding dedication and positive impact on our Stanton school community. Andrew and Natasha volunteer weekly for all lunch waves, consistently showing up to support our students with warmth and enthusiasm. When they enter the cafeteria, students are excited to see them. In addition to assisting with lunch routines, they consistently engage in conversations with our students, helping them feel seen and valued. Through their regular presence, they have built strong, positive relationships and meaningful connections with students. We are truly incredibly grateful for their reliability, kindness, and continued support of Stanton School. Thank you both. And for March, we have Risha Ross. Oh, she is. I see her. We'll skip. We go to my favorite. You inspire me. Anthony, is Anthony here? No. Is he coming? We'll give him some time. We're gonna go down the list. I know Andrew's here because I saw him. Andrew Durnan, the key is me. Come on up, Andrew. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So, you were nominated by. This is not right. You were nominated by Kristen Talley. Were you? Heather? Okay, I got it mixed up. Okay. You were nominated by Heather Tremblay. Okay. Mr. Durant is truly the face of Huntington School. As a certified ESL teacher, he works with students across many grade levels, but his impact extends far beyond his classroom. Every morning during student drop-off and again at lunch duty, Mr. Durnan makes it a point to connect with every child he sees. He makes each student feel noticed, included, and valued. And this simple daily effort has become a powerful part of our school culture. Mr. Durnan volunteers for anything that will bring joy to the whole community, whether dressing up as the school mascot during events or participating in the fire safety presentation to support student learning. In addition, he is an active member of our staff community, helping to build a fun, supportive workplace where staff feel appreciated. Mr. Durnan deserves public recognition because he represents the best of Norwich Public Schools. He supports the whole child, uplifts his colleagues, and models what it means to be dedicated, joyful, and community-centered. His efforts make Huntington and the entire district a better place for students, educators, and families. And if you ever walk into Huntington, he's down in that little corner. I go to see him all the time working with the kids. I enjoy talking with you when I go in there. And then also I noticed when I went by Huntington today that there's a big sign that he got the football.
All right. You like that? That's awesome. Awesome.
Oh no, Trish is here. Hold it up again.
We hold it in the mirror.
No jump.
Yeah.
All right, Tricia Ross. I know, how are you been? Tricia Ross is a truly wonderful and dedicated member of our school community. Although she has a child in the Strive classroom, she generously gives her time to support her fourth grade class during special events such as holidays and celebrations. She always brings creative, hands-on activities that our students absolutely love. Her visits focus on meaningful values like kindness, friendship, gratitude, and family, helping to create a warm and caring classroom environment. Tricia is incredibly sweet and thoughtful, and she is always willing to help in any way she can. She She consistently donates materials and supplies to support our classrooms, and her generosity does not go unnoticed. We are so grateful for her dedication and the positive impact she makes on our students. Thank you, Tricia, for all you do, and you were nominated by Principal Jessie Fries, who is here, and fourth grade teacher Maria Pedraza. Is Mike Downing here? Mike's here. Come on up, Mike. So I Make a Difference goes to Mike Downing, Facilities Department Substitute Custodian. For 14 years, Mike Downing has been the heart and soul of Norwich Public Schools custodial team. Known for his tireless work ethic, kindness, and dedication, Mike leads by example every single day. Whether he's training new employees, lending a hand wherever it's needed, giving someone a ride, or ensuring our school is clean and ready, Mike does it all with humility and pride. Mike is more than just a substitute custodian. He's a mentor, a team player, and the person everyone can count on. His willingness to go above and beyond has earned him the reputation as the saint from heaven. Wherever, whenever needed. No questions asked, he is ready for the call. Mike's commitment ensures our students and staff have a clean, safe, and welcoming environment to learn and work in. Mike, you are a true gem. You portray every day that excellence, teamwork, and compassion unlock the best in all of us. And you were nominated by Deb Chance, who I know is in the building somewhere. There's Deb right there. So congratulations, Mike. Anthony, is Anthony here? Yes. I trained and I practiced this, so that's why I thought Kristen Talley, because I was going to do this first. That's why she said. So Anthony, come on up. Hi, how are you? Good. You got a big fan club out there. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
All right. So Anthony is at Moriarty School, grade 5, and he was nominated by Miss Talley and Miss Pellish Sunstrom. Is she here? Just over here. All right. So turn around so everybody can see you. All right. So Anthony is an inspirational member of the Moriarty Monarch School community. He upholds the wing's expectations, especially I, which is inspire, respect. He is a role model for positive behavior, and he is always helping his peers. Anthony is a member of the student council. He volunteered his time at the fall back to school night. He gives new students tours of the building, and he has presented at a school-wide assembly. Recently, Anthony was able to offer a tour using his bilingual superpower to a student who had just arrived from Peru. Not only did this make the student feel welcome, but gave them a sense of belonging on their very first day of school. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all, families, congratulations to you, and peers, we love this. I think Huntington just started a trend with signs. We'll see what the next group, but it was like a word jumbo, they were kind of out of order a little bit. We were trying to figure it out, but thank you all for coming. Middle school happenings, we have representatives from teachers and Kelly, come forward, please. Come on up, give us your name, your grade, and tell us what's going on.
Stand up. We had to go through double. Am I allowed to start?
Wait for it.
Annual staff versus student youth basketball games held after school today along with our winter athletic banquet. Topps annual sneaker ball is rescheduled for this Friday, March 13th. 106 students reached 96% attendance for the month of February and get to participate in our glow party one afternoon. Volleyball tryouts are happening this week for both boys and girls. We had over 50 students enter into the annual Martin Luther King Essay Challenge. 7th grade is holding the Lucky Shamrocks fundraiser. Students can buy a shamrock for $1 and send friends some good luck. Thompson student council are anxiously waiting the Luke's sneaker ball that will take place this Thursday evening. Advising students will be visiting Southern CT State University on March 17th for the annual advising conference. Both our boys and girls basketball teams played a great season with a cheer team and pep boy band supporting them with pride. The halftime shows were fire. We had our staff/student basketball game earlier today. Our winter sports banquet just ended prior to the meeting. Volleyball season is up next. We are looking forward to an exciting season. Tops is hosting the second annual sneaker ball on February 20th. NFA came to teachers to celebrate the applicants who applied before January 1st with some school apparel. Our annual staff versus student basketball game is taking place March 10th at 3:15.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Question?
Who won?
For the game today,
Yeah,
staff.
Doesn't that always happen?
get him next year.
Yeah, it does, right, okay, we know how that goes.
So the first part was teachers and the second part he read for Kelly.
Oh, we did, good.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Well, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess.
That was my.
We're gonna go outside and take photos of all the award winners and we will be back. So hang tight. topic number 6 of reports, starting with the report of the chairman. So I just have a couple of things I'd like to recognize. First of all, realizing it is March is Music in School Month, I think it's important that we celebrate that. And I know Ms. Bender is gonna have a few things to say about what we're doing with our music department. But it's interesting, I think I mentioned last time I had gone to the concert, or went to a concert, walked out with Mr. Kulos. It was a great concert, and Mr. Kulos said, "You realize 10 years ago, we didn't even have this? And what we have now is amazing." And Jamie will be talking about that. Another thing I'd like to point out is attendance. As I read through the report, I'm looking at the attendance for our district at this point is 17%. Last year, absenteeism, last year at this point it was 21.5%. The district goal is 15%, so we're very close. And that is attributed to the attendance district team that's been busy, working hard to make kids come to school. Sounds like a foreign thing, we have to work hard to get them to come to school, but in today's world, we do. And they're making great progress, and we're very proud of that. I must point out that our co-curricular activities are critical. They've increased in numbers, and the importance of them, I don't think we can emphasize enough. Example for attendance. The boys' basketball team and the cheerleaders from Teachers in Kelly, their attendance is anywhere from 94.9% to 97.4%, which goes to show kids want to come to school, they have activities they can get involved in, they will come to school. You know, sometimes we forget that we need to offer many things for a full education for students. And co-curricular, the activities we have are increasing, and it's important. So all those involved in volunteering and starting clubs, thank you. We appreciate it, and we'll keep going with what we're doing. I think that's all I have. I will turn it over to Superintendent Lassard.
Thank you, Mr. Iavino. All right, so main focus tonight is gonna be the budget update. Before Bob and I start on that, I just wanna give a couple of updates. School construction, if anyone, you really can't see the new Stanton from the road. I was able to tour Stanton last week. It is, the whole upstairs is either sheetrocked and or painted. They've begun to sheetrock the bottom floor already. It's pretty amazing how quickly it's going. I plan to tour it every 2 weeks, and also in Greenville as well. I'll be touring that every 2 weeks now that that's coming along. So just wanna mention that. Also, redistricting update. We will have a special board meeting on May 6th. That's a Wednesday, May 6th. It will be in the auditorium. We will be marketing it. Yulitza Brooks, our communication coordinator, will be sending lots of communication to parents and community members. There'll be an opportunity to see the different redistricting maps. We started with A, B, and C. We now have a D redistricting map. We will be in the auditorium. There'll be a chance for anybody to ask questions. There'll be a microphone set up, and people will be able to ask questions. So Yulitza and I are gonna try to get as many community members, staff, and families there so that we can talk about the redistricting maps. And the Board of Ed will eventually vote on which map to go with for redistricting. So we're excited about that. And that, now I'm gonna go right to the budget. All my other updates are in there. I do wanna mention one thing before the budget. I like to mention certified staff vacancies right now. We have a grade 7 math at Kelly, instructional specialist at Kelly, which we've had, and then technology integration teacher at Moriarty/veterans. That's a shared job. And we also have a TESOL position at Moriarty, but we are actually very excited to hire someone who retired last year. She's coming back. She's willing to come back for the rest of the year at Moriarty, so we're super excited that that position has been filled as of next week. And we will go into the budget. I'm gonna read a statement. I'm gonna have Joe go ahead and put that up. All right, so before we get into that, Bob and I will do this together. I just wanna thank everyone for having the opportunity to present the Norwich Public Schools proposed budget for the next year. Oh, you want to do it?
You doing it up here?
Yeah.
Okay, go
Yeah.
ahead. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's right. So tonight's presentation is the result of many months of work and collaboration. Bob and I have worked closely with our school leaders, department directors, and central office team to carefully review our needs, our obligations, and the resources available to us. Our goal throughout this process has been to build a budget that supports students, remains responsible to taxpayers, and allows us to continue moving the district forward. As you know, Norwich Public Schools continues to serve a growing number of students with complex academic, social, emotional, and special education needs. At the same time, we are working hard to strengthen instruction, improve student outcomes, and provide the supports our staff need to do this work well. The proposed budget reflects those priorities. It focuses on maintaining strong programming for students, meeting our contractual and mandated obligations, and being thoughtful about how we allocate every dollar. It also reflects areas where we know additional support is needed. For example, we have included additional custodial staff in this proposal to better support our schools and ensure our buildings are clean, safe, and well-maintained for students and staff. Bob and I will walk you through the major components of the budget this evening, including the key drivers behind the increase and the areas where we have worked hard to manage costs while still supporting the needs of our schools. So I'm gonna have, actually, let's start with this. So for some of you were able to come to the budget process, our subcommittee meetings, they were held on January 27th. We went over salary and fringe benefits. On February 18th, we went over salaries, benefits, and grant funding. March 3rd, we did facilities and information technology, utilities, and contracted services. Whoops. So the next slide talks about, just shows the budget timeline. So we already spoke about the first three, and then tonight is the Board of Ed meeting where the board will vote on our budget. April 6th, the city manager presents budget to council, and then we don't have the dates yet, we're waiting to hear from the city, but then in April, beginning of April, we will present the budget to the city council. Around the middle of April, the first public budget hearing at the city. May, beginning of the month in May, the city council adoption of the preliminary budget. And then the middle of the month in May, the second public budget hearing at the city. May and beginning of June will be the city council, Board of Ed ad hoc meetings that we do. We usually do 2 to 3 of them. June, beginning of the month, the city council and ad hoc will make a recommendation to the council regarding the NPS budget. June, beginning of the month, tentative budget adoption by council, and then the June Board of Ed meeting, again, that'll be June 9th, the board votes on a revised budget if that's applicable. Not working, Joe. Oh, there it goes. Did I go too far? All right, so right now, our current budget is a total of $96,637,707. Our proposed budget, so this is a budget overview that I'm doing right now, proposed budget for 26-27. Some of you have already heard this that went to the committee meetings, is going to be $101,556,166. This is an increase of 4.9 million, which includes tuition increases for NFA and Griswold. The percentage increase is 5.09%. And for every 1%, it's equivalent to $966,377. So $32,316,543 in ECS funding is sent directly to the city of Norwich. So therefore, $69,239,623 of our proposed budget would be funded by the city. The Governor's Alliance proposed increase, so I think we've talked about this a lot. For the budget year of 25-26, we received an additional 2.5 million in Alliance funding, and this year there is a 0 increase to Alliance, which we knew, for the grant funding. It was actually supposed to decrease by 494,000, but due to hold harmless legislation, there will be no decrease in our Alliance funding for the next school year. So we talk a lot about excess cost funding options, and I know that this is where we kind of just try to guess and for the following year, because we never know what it's going to be. It's supposed to be at 100%. They've talked about us being in a tier of 91%. 72%, and, you know, this will be decided at ad hoc meetings, when we start those, but for now, we put in 70% for the 26-27 school year. This year, it came in at 72%. So we were being realistic with the 70%.
Pointing it at the projector or?
What are you doing, Joe? Where am I pointing it? There we go. All right, so just, you know, this is just a chart, a pie chart of the major budget drivers. And Bob and I will go back and forth. He'll talk when he needs to, when he wants to. So I just wanted to just point out, obviously, the biggest pie is the student tuitions, right? And this is every year. I know a question that comes up a lot, and it came up a lot during our committee meetings, our subcommittee meetings, was special education budgeted outplacements are $9,890,000, 718, and that's the one that we never know what's going to happen. We sort of have to look historically in the past. We have to look at what our Rose City School and Resilience programs that we can keep in-house, and then we kind of come up with a number that we think is realistic for the next year.
Yeah, the biggest wild card in that is students and families who move in and out of town. We have no idea, and as an example, for the previous year, we had budgeted 236 students in the NFA special education programs. We ended up gaining 12 extra students. But when we got inside the numbers, we found that there were 35 new students who moved in from 11 different states, 11 different towns in Connecticut and 6 different states, and 23 students we had left. So you had movement of 53 students just in the NFA programs. So that just indicates how volatile and unpredictable it is when it comes to budgeting that number.
All right, so we're gonna talk next about, Joe, if you can go to the next slide, please. We're gonna talk next about major considerations. So some risk items, like we just talked, special education costs continue to escalate, and it's at an unsustainable rate. So will there be legislative relief, adjustments to ECS foundational rate? We don't know. We have to have a lot of talk with our legislators that foundational cost could go up. Right now, it's at 13,000.
11,525.
Oh, I'm sorry,
per
11,525. We've had talk of between 13,000 and 15,000 that it could go up to, and that would be significant for us if we had that. If we just had that one thing alone, our budget would be fine.
And to give you an example of how important that is, if the foundation went up to $15,000, that would mean an increase to Norwich of over $14 million. So we do not expect that to happen in a single year, but if it went up by 20% of that number, which is an increase of $34.75, that would be 3% of our budget, or just under $3 million. So if that happens, that will be huge for both the city and the Board of Education. And there seems to be a lot of movement on both sides of the aisle to do something with it. That amount hasn't changed, I think, as Susan said, since 2013.
So our long-term goal has been to stop this escalation of special education. So we've had programs to bring students back into the district and reduce outside services needed and generate revenue. And we've got that with the Rose City School that we started 2 years ago and the Resilience Program that we started this year. So excess cost reimbursement rate, again, we just talked about that. We don't know what it will be. Again, we budgeted at 70%. Health insurance, the final cost is not known. We'll get more exact numbers in May for that. So our proposed budget, as we said, represents 5.09% increase. So revenue cost avoidance adjustments made by Rose City School and Resilience in Norwich and NTA is huge for us. And Bob's talked about this at past board meetings. The top 10 special education outplacements are up 11% compared to last year, continuing to reflect, and it's the exact same kids. We're comparing the exact same kids, 11%, and reflects the growing intensity and complexity of student needs. And so again, programs like Rose City School and Resilience continue to generate significant cost avoidance. Without these in-district therapeutic options, our outplacement costs would have been even more substantial. So those programs are not only important to our students, but they're important to our budget. Legislation and final state budget will affect the ECS funding. And the good news is it's a short session, and that ends on May 6th. So that's good for us. We'll have more information by the time we move into the city council for a vote. So for a recap, tuitions are at 38.9% of our budget. NFA had a 3.85% increase. I just want to mention this because I think this is really important, that they only had an internal increase of 0.14%, which means that they did a lot of work on their end so that our cost, our percentage wouldn't go up that high. So internally, they had a 0.14% increase in NFA. Griswold is at a 4% increase. And again, special education outplacements, 9.8 million, and that's 107 students. And Lisa, I believe we had 126 at the high last year, and we're down to 107 this year.
Yes, and two of the students that are reflected in tonight's numbers are two students that were awaiting placement, so we knew that they were going to go. And as I've said before, those are students who are at the secondary or high school levels, which is challenging for us to navigate without our own high school.
So I just want to put these next slides up as an example, or just a reminder, not an example, a reminder of positions that we eliminated. I'm going back to 24-25. That's when ESSER went away and we had to do a lot of eliminations. So I have this up here as a reminder. It was in there last year and the year before. We had to eliminate 5 instructional coaches, 24 reading and math specialists, 5 school counselors, 2 social workers, 4 assistant principals, 2 special education supervisors, 3 PE teachers, 1 art teacher, 1 librarian, and 3 music teachers. In central office that year, that same year, we eliminated positions as well. We did not replace an administrative assistant in human resources. We did not replace the volunteer position that we had. We eliminated student services office manager. We eliminated 1 residency officer. We had 2, we have 1 now. We eliminated the payroll manager. We replaced director of communications with communications coordinator and combined responsibilities with the volunteer position. Hired a part-time medical admin assistant to replace a full-time admin assistant. And we moved 3 admin directors to coordinator positions, which was 12-month positions to 210 days.
I have a question.
Sure.
You eliminated 1 residency officer. Were we not able to find how much money that we're saving by getting rid of these people that were not in residence? And, you know, would we have gotten more with the 2? And
Well, we looked at that position and we identified that Ed Peckham could absorb the work he was doing. He was doing mostly special education students, so you know we had that conversation and we feel Ed is able to do both. We originally had 1, and then we added another one during ESSER funding, to be quite honest with you, and that money went away. So Ed was a solo, and now he's solo again. But we feel that it's a good question, fair question. But we feel like he's able to keep an eye on the NFA students. He makes sure that they're residents of Norwich. That was a big problem at one point when they went to NFA. Next one. So that was 24-25. So now 25-26, last year, we had to make additional cuts because if everyone recalls, we were only able to get 1% from the city last year. So the additional cuts that we made last year for this year, this school year, were 3 dean positions, 3 MLL coaches, and we did move those MLL coaches to, 2 of them went to MLL teaching positions and 1 to an elementary teaching position. We had to eliminate 2 elementary school counselors, 1 social worker, and 1 BCBA. And other savings that we had from attrition were 4 teachers that retired and then 5 paras by attrition. And I mentioned this last year, historical average of para attrition over the summer is about 13 paras. So now we're gonna look at the budget for NFA and Griswold tuition increases. So the total NFA 25-26 was 29,480,913. The total this year is actually a decrease, and Bob will talk more about it, but it's a decrease to 29,106,363, which is about a 1.3% decrease 25-26. And we've talked about this before, but go
Yeah,
ahead.
the reason for the,
29 million.
the reason for the decrease is, NFA bills us 1 year in arrears based on October 1st from the previous year. So this October 25 is what they'll bill us for next year, and compared to the prior year, there's a decrease of 70 students. So those 70 students at this year's current tuition rate would have amounted to a $1.1 million decrease for Norwich Public Schools. But because NFA relies on total enrollment and tuition to run their programs, that's why I had calculated they would have needed at least a 3.2% increase to recover the 1.1 million that they lost from us. As Susan said, NFA responded by having internal cuts, so I was fully expecting a 5.5% to 6% increase if they didn't make cuts. So they were responsible and made cuts and held the increase down to 3.85%. And as Susan said, the other, that was offset by an increase on the special ed side.
Yeah, so that's next. So the special education actually went up by 4% to 375,812. So there was a little offset in that. Total Griswold for 25-26 was 1,485,942. And for 26-27, it went up 14.7% to 1,704,473. And if we look at the Griswold special education, again, we did the same thing we did with NFA. 25-26 was 1,132,369. And for next year, slight decrease of 1,113,295, a difference of about $19,000.
Why isn't it showing us how many students is represented by that amount of money?
It's in your budget packet.
It's in there.
The packet's about 70 pages long, and
Okay,
we went over all that stuff in the subcommittee meetings and included that in the packet, so you can see enrollments by the magnet school levels, by the designated high schools, by VOAG.
All right, and then just, I have this up here, Dennis, and I can add things like that, you give me feedback like that, and next year I can adjust, for those things, so that, it's important, if those are the questions that people are asking, I can adjust for that next year. So Norwich Public Schools, here's the enrollment as of today. We know that that fluctuates, but as of today, here are the numbers for our pre-K students and then all of our elementary and middle schools. For a total enrollment of 3,254, but everyone knows we're also responsible for another 2,000 students if you look at NFA, Griswold, Ledyard, et cetera, magnet schools, and so forth. Bacon and Waterford, this will be next year will be the last year that we'll be paying tuition with them. They'll no longer be ascending high school. The board voted on that a few years ago. So we won't have Bacon or Waterford after next year. It'll be their last year.
So really, the total we're looking at is about 5,290 students that we serve.
That we're responsible for, yep. So, I just want to reiterate in a statement that the budget reflects the work happening every day in our schools and the needs of our students we serve. We believe it's a responsible plan that supports our staff, our students, and the continued progress of Norwich Public Schools. So at this point, we're not gonna go through every single slide. Like Bob said, there's about another 70 slides to go through that is very detailed. Those are the slides that we went through for those that were at the subcommittee meeting. But we're happy to answer any questions. If there are some details that you want, I'm sure between Bob and I, we can answer some of those questions.
Yeah, I'd like to add to what Susan said, our subcommittee meetings, there was probably 5 to 6 hours of meetings where we went over this stuff in great detail, and we'd probably be here till midnight if we did that again, but the budget increase really comes down to 3 areas. It's the health insurance expense, our tuition expense, and salaries. If I add up the increase for health insurance and net tuition alone, that amounts to $3,132,184, which represents a 3.24% increase. If I put in salaries, which are basically the existing staff plus contractual obligations in terms of step increases and so on and so forth, that's another 1.5 million or 1.6%. So if I look at the entire increase, there's only 0.25% left, or $240,000 increase for everything else in that budget. That includes transportation, utilities, legal expense, instructional supplies, PE supplies. So all those 2 pages of line items in our budget, they're only going up by $240,000. So those 3 items alone is what's driving the 5.09% increase. And the biggest impact to our ability to pay for all of this is gonna come out of the legislative body with regard to the ECS funding. And that is very hopeful that we do get something. And again, any increases to special education funding, which is another topic. The reason we're budgeting 70% for excess cost rather than the 72.8% that we got this year is unless the state adds more money to the pot, they're gonna be distributing the same $218 million, and and everybody's special ed costs are gonna go up. So logically, you're gonna get a lower percentage. That's what had been happening for years and years. And last year, we were down to 64% when the state had an emergency session and added $40 million. But they didn't add anything above and beyond that. So one thing the state's trying to do with ECS is if they increase the amount, they wanna index it so that each year it'll go up somewhat to account for the cost of increasing education costs. Because it's not very good common sense to put a number in there and then not change it for 15 years. So it's those 3 items basically, and there's a tremendous amount of detail in here on every item that we covered.
And we've had a lot of conversations with Senator Austin, Representative Wilson, on how important that foundational number is to us. I know there's been a lot of our costs or urban districts. I'm sure Greg knows there's been a lot of superintendents that have gone to the meeting to really push that foundational amount. So, you know, I've sent letters to our legislators and told them about how important that is, especially to our urban schools.
Districts large and small, urban and rural, everyone's feeling the pinch of the fact that the cost has shifted onto taxpayers because the state has basically kept the funding level for 13 years at the same level. And so towns are taking on more and more when the state's taking on less and less. So there's good energy from legislators on both sides of the aisle to make a change on this. And we're hopeful, we're optimistic.
And to Greg's point, the city of Norwich in 2008-09 fiscal year, they received $32,316,543 for the ECS grant. And that's the same amount they're getting next year. So if you do calendar math, 2008 to 2026, that's 18 years.
Yeah.
The amount has not changed.
Should be about a 50%
With the
increase.
benefit of the Alliance grant, which has given us extra funding, but towns that are not Alliance district, they haven't seen their numbers change.
Any other questions from board members? Okay, thank you. Public comment. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on public comment? Chelsea, we have anyone sign up? Second notice, anyone here wishing to speak for public comment? Third announcement, anyone here wishing to speak for public comment? Public comment is closed. Continuing reports, report of the Assistant Superintendent, Jamie Bender.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for setting the stage for our, my highlights tonight.
Okay.
March is Music in Our Schools Month, and I want to dedicate this month's report to that department and the building leaders and the staff and students and parents who all support our music programs, and to you, the Board of Ed, who makes that happen and dedicates resources to ensure that our students have those opportunities of music experiences embedded into their education. But I'd like you to hear from some of the students on how important that is. So, Joe?
Zelda, what would school be like without music? I think school without music would be a little boring because you wouldn't have many things to do, and I think music just makes you happy. Ava, what do you think school would be like without music? School would be like without music, like pretty boring. It's not going to be as happy as we are now in school, and the instruments are really fun to be with while you are in school because you have many different options: trumpet, saxophone, clarinet, trombone, and many others. Music is important to our school.
My favorite instrument is the alto sax because I just think it has a really wide range of sound and you can play a lot of different things on it. I think it just sounds the best out of all of them.
My favorite instrument is the trumpet because I thought it looked cool, it sounds nice, and I play it.
Music makes me feel very calm when I'm playing it. It helps me reset my brain when I'm stressed. It is very beneficial when you're in middle school.
I think music is important for school because you can learn different instruments, and that way you can also learn different notes. What I enjoy most about being in band is that I could hang out with my friends. My favorite song to play at school is called Farewell at Dawn because it's simple and it's really fun to play, and it sounds very good all put together.
Yes, thank you to our teachers and our students for putting that together for us, for our board meeting today. And to Yulitza, who also helped facilitate that project, thank you. So we've had the Kelly Pep Band for 2 years now, and if you've been able to see some of our basketball games here, you might have heard some of the songs that they play, but it's like you're at a UConn basketball game and they, halftime when they're playing. It's been great, and that's been brought to made possible by the Connecticut Judicial Youth Diversion Grant. So that's where the Pep Band funds are coming from. Allison B does a great job with recruiting students to participate in that. We're also getting ready to launch a jazz band at Teachers and a jazz band at Stanton, as well as a guitar club that's already underway at Veterans. So the music program is continuing to expand kind of naturally, and meeting where the students are and what their desires are. One of my recent projects has been bringing interested staff together to talk about what our unified arts could be reimagined for our new elementary schools. And in that work, I learned that roughly on average about 49% of elementary students across the United States play an instrument in school. Here in Norwich, and trying to understand the path and what we have to prepare for, it's at around 65%. So those numbers mean something, and so we right now are currently grade 4 and 5 participate in band and instrument lessons. But we talked about some attendance stats for our athletes and how that's making a difference. We are starting to collect that on our musicians, on the other clubs that we have going, because we know that it's having an impact. And, you know, there's some statistics out there where children who study music tend to have larger vocabularies, they're more advanced in their reading skills, than their peers who don't participate in music lessons. We have, you know, music that's available to students, third grade and up, regardless of what their socioeconomic status is. They tend to score higher on reading and spelling tests. Attendance rates for students that participate in music programs is at a 93.3% as opposed to schools that don't have those types of music programs and at 85%. So, you know, we see the impact of these programs that, you know, we're committed resources to, and it's making a difference, so.
I also want to add to that, Jamie, is that if everyone recalls about 2 years ago when they thought we were gonna cut music. And how great that was, that all those kids came back from NFA to say how important music was. We had our middle school, we had our music teachers here. So music is really important to our communities.
And so, you know, make sure that you're carving out time in your calendar if you have it available on March 18th for our All City Music Festival. It's happening here at Kelly, starting at 6:30.
It was so awesome last year. We can't miss that.
Can't miss it. It's on the calendar. 18th, 6:30.
What time?
6:30.
Music is so important, much more than most people think, because music tends to order your mind, and you do better in everything else.
Well said. Well said.
And it helps in math skills too.
Yes.
The diatonic, the pentatonic, the octave. You know, kids learn fractions quite
Yeah,
easily.
absolutely. I could go on and on and on with some, you know, data tonight, but I thank you for your dedication to these programs that we have.
Thank you. I just learned why I was never good in math, because I couldn't carry a note or play an instrument, so now I know the reason. Just saying. Thank you, Jamie, that was great, appreciate that. Director of Student Services, Dr. Lisa Hughes.
This is a tough act to follow tonight. I don't have a movie, but next time I'm considering bringing one.
We're up in the game here, be careful.
I know, it's unreal.
Well, you've got live presentations coming, so.
Yes, we do, actually. And so, for your consideration this evening, we have our enrollment report. As we already mentioned, there are 107 students. 2 students were awaiting placement, as I said, and are now in placement, so that number's a little bit up. Our homeschool, I do report on throughout the year for your understanding. And I wanted to highlight a couple of things this evening. One of the pieces is cost containment, and we've been talking a lot about that. Susan has mentioned that this evening. Bob is going to talk about that, but the Rose City program and our school resilience program have done a lot in the teams there have done a lot to contain cost, while that's in mitigating placements or bringing students back into district, into their home community. It's incredibly important, and we're really proud of their work. Tomorrow morning, we're having a little meet and greet at the Rose City School, and we look forward to anyone who can join us. There was an RSVP, but if you didn't get to that and you're joining us, just let me know so I can let the team know as well. And as we begin planning for what our programs will look like, and in particular, looking at how to grow Rose City, I did put it in writing, so it must be true at this point, right? It's kind of like the dream is to consider additional gaps and places that we can do the same thing. And so one of those pieces is the development of a Rose City Autism Support Program. And so kind of see that as where Rose City is housed. That's where that program would be as well. We would start it in a very similar way. And it would be based on the work that's already happening in district in our Strive classrooms for students with autism, and building a bridge for some of the students that we have had challenges keeping in district. So really specialized program offering a lot of other clinical pieces. So I put it in writing, so we're gonna develop that program, a much higher structured instructional and behavioral support for students on the spectrum.
And just to add to that, Lisa, that's gonna be, when we get the veteran school, that's when we're gonna look to expand.
Yes, yep.
Once we redistrict in 27-28 school year.
Yes. And making one of the flyers for tomorrow, I did put the future home of Rose City programs. Didn't wanna get too specific because we're trying to find some other things as well. And then I wanted to draw your attention to the department, the Connecticut Department of Education has, a whole transition section. It's so incredibly important. We have students 18 to 22 that are in our transition academy, but really the transition planning begins in middle school and even earlier than that, in really thinking about how we support our students through making decisions about their independence and functional living skills. And so I wanted to highlight for you tonight that the Kelly Middle School team, and as you know, the special programs are housed here. They have asked for and developed their own little transition space, which was an older faculty space. And so we've ordered materials and a refrigerator and all kinds of a portable washing machine and different things for students to interact with. And they're setting it up so that students can come and practice daily skills, daily living skills, functional skills, pre-employment, and those types of activities as we send them off into high school, and then hopefully they return back to us in the transition academy. But I wanted to highlight that because there was a lot of thought around that. In addition to that, the program, we have ordered a test, transitional skills inventory for the program, and that's been very helpful in targeting some of the skills that our students need, and also how we get to teach them those things. So I'm really proud of the work the teams are doing here in transition, and in addition to that hands-on component that our students need. So we feel that had been a little bit, something we needed to work on, and the team came up with some great ideas. And then along with that, we have a save the date for, and now I'm thinking we might have to change the save the date because I think I heard the Old City Music is on the 18th. Okay, foiled again. We will check this out and I will do a revision of save the date, okay? That was one, I don't know how that happened, but that's okay. We'll move right on.
Who was that for?
The transition open house, we have like.
That's in May.
Oh, yes, when's the All City?
March.
Oh, okay, great.
So you're unfoiled.
We're good, we're unfoiled, I love it. I was thinking because Yalitza helped us with that date, so I didn't think she would have double booked us. And then the other thing I typically fail to point out is the school health report and the good work that the school nurses are doing. And just today, Laura Dietrich
Who's
led.
in the audience?
Laura Dietrich, where is she? There she is, our nursing supervisor, and led a whole conversation with the principals about streamlining our process for incident reports and things that may happen, bumps out in the playground and those kinds of things. And so I want to thank her and also the work that the school nurses are doing. They do a remarkable job and have many kids in the office every time I visit. So thank you, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Questions from anyone? Build it and they will come.
Yes, we're working
That's
on
what
that.
you're living on. So thank you.
And- Yeah, and anyone who has ideas, we're open to listening.
Thank you, Dr. Woods. Mr. Serpensky,
Yes, and
anything you'd like to add?
Not to any of those previous reports, and I only have half a report to do now because we've
Okay.
covered 26, 27, starting with Susan's report.
Okay.
So, the forecast for this year, I don't see much of a change from last time. I'm expecting us to be anywhere from break even to maybe $500,000 or $600,000 under budget. The single biggest factor that will influence where we come out is gonna be balancing the Alliance grant with the Board of Education expenses. The Alliance grant and some other grants are problematic in terms of timing. I think this year, the grant was approved on January 17th or thereabouts. So you can't make a revision to a grant that hasn't been approved yet. So Jamie's writing this grant and planning on how we're gonna spend it now. And as we all know, now is very different than October, November, December, and January. Staff members come and go, needs change. So we're actually meeting next, a week from today to see what gaps can be filled, within the Alliance grant, taking qualifying, expenses from the Board of Ed that meet the criteria of the Alliance grant. That's when, Jamie and help with Susan and Lisa get creative with their vocabulary and how they phrase things, because you just can't put any, it would be wonderful if I could just say, hey, you need to find $800,000 in transportation, in expenses, let's just move $800,000 of transportation costs. Doesn't work that way, so, that'll be the challenge to do that, so, that'll strongly influence where we end the year. And, our heating costs are gonna be known now, I don't think we're gonna, April, May, and June are always low heating costs, winter buses are gone. You have a much smaller window for bad and good financial surprises that are gonna stick with you for the whole year, so basically we are what we are right now and will be for the rest of the year. Another thing that happened in February, we always talk about excess cost, we received our 75% of our grant payment, the amount came in where we expected. We'll get the remaining 25% in the end of May. So we've also talked about the DRIP program, and we went into a lot of detail during the budget subcommittee meetings. On March 1st, the state actually announced the allocations, and Norwich is receiving $242,749.90. It's strictly driven by a formula, that's why we get the 90 cents. So we had a statewide meeting that Susan and I participated on last week on how the program will be administered. And
I think
know
there was over
a lot of
300 people on that meeting.
Yeah, there was a lot of concern by board members and myself and everyone else included on how will this program work? And it's rather unique. We're known, the Board of Education has a new acronym. You're a PSO, a public school operator. So unlike the Alliance grant and Lisa's IDA grant and every other grant, projects that will be funded by the DRIP program are not gonna be approved by the Board of Education, State Board of Department of Education or OPM. The projects need to be approved by the public school operator. So when we go to spend this money, the board will say yes or no. The money is gonna be sent to us. There's no pre-approval, it's funded by bond funding. So Susan and I had to fill out a one-page document, and on that document, Susan had to swear that we will spend the money in accordance with the state regulations. She had to write down that exact number that the state gave us, and she had to sign it and send it in by April 15th. All districts have to send it in because the state wants to do one payment. So they expect to get the money out to us by May 1st, so it will be sent directly to the school district. I talked with Josh Pothier, and much like we created a non-lapsing fund in general for the Board of Education under that Connecticut statute 10-248, we're gonna create a sub-account called the DRIP fund, and the money will be deposited in there. And anytime we wanna spend the money, we just spend it with PSO approval on qualified projects. The OPM will not offer any guidance whatsoever, nor will they approve any projects. It's strictly up to the PSO to approve the projects in accordance with the guidelines, and it's really gonna be that simple. There will be a financial report that will be due on September 1st of 2027, and it will cover the 2-year period on how we spent the money, and it'll be due September 1st. So basically it's, here's your money, promise to spend it accordingly, and tell us how you spent it. It's really that simple.
And is that DRIP funding, is that required to be segregated? To have a separate account?
Well, it would make sense to do that from an accounting
From an
standpoint,
accounting,
because it can
sure.
only spend on like 9 things. So it wouldn't be commingled with any other funds, so it'll be in its own grant to fund.
And,
or a non-lapsing fund.
and that's an annual allocation.
It was bonded for 2 years. So the state allocated $30 million for this year and $30 million for next year. I'm hopeful that it's modeled after the LoCIP program, which stands for the Local Capital Improvement Program that towns have. And that's been funded every year through the bonding commission. So that would be painful for the state to say, we don't want to have separate building projects for small things like roofs and air systems and things like that. So if they only do this for 2 years, it's kind of like, here it is, now we're taking it away. It's much like the seed grant, we know it's for 2 years, and that better not go away after 2 years because we're spending that $604,000 on staff. And that would be another burden on every Board of Education if we had to pick up those expenses.
Questions for Bob?
Yeah, due to the recent jump in energy prices, natural gas, fuel for our buses, how is that going to affect this year's budget?
It will have no effect on the type 1 buses which operate on diesel fuel because we're contracted out through September of 2026, and we already have a new contract for the following year that takes us to September of 28, I think. So we're locked in there. The natural gas prices, the city does their pricing in November 1st, so I think they might be fixed. But we're at the end of the heating season. If I looked historically, April, May, and June is a very tiny fraction of our overall heating budget. And hopefully the issues that are causing the spike in prices will be resolved relatively soon and pricing will become stable again.
And if not, that would affect next year's budget.
Well, it could impact, I'd have to check with NPU because they're the ones that buy the natural gas and we rely on them for their pricing.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. Moving on to new business.
One slide up. Joe, can you put that slide up? please?
One slide up, Joe.
Here we go. Just want to add up when you.
I will entertain a motion to approve the 2026-2027 Norwich Board of Education budget for the amount of $101,556,166. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Who's first? Who wants it?
You have it.
All right.
Motion by Greg Perry, seconded by Chris Milton. Any further comments, discussions, or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? One abstention. So the vote passes, what do we have here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to 0, one abstention. Thank you. Moving on to unfinished business. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we have 6 policies this evening that we need to approve revisions to the policy only. The policy themselves will be staying, but it's the revision, the language and the wording that will be revised in the policies. Policy 5001, Child Sexual Abuse Response Policy. Policy 5114, Student Discipline, proposed revisions. Policy 51115, Student Records, proposed revisions. Policy 5143, Administration of Medications in Schools, proposed revisions. Policy 6155, Curricular Exemptions, proposed revisions. Policy 6161, Parent Access to Instructional Materials, proposed revisions. I would like to take these all as one vote. If we have something we want to question, we'll pull that policy out and have a discussion about it.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the policies previously listed as for, all the policies together.
Do I have a second?
Kevin Satani, I will second that motion.
Discussion or comments? Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Dennis, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, good, gotcha. All right. Unanimous approved.
I do have a question though, even though last month, we had to discipline and send a boy home for the rest of the year.
Yes,
I'd like to know how he's doing with the tutelage that he's getting.
okay. That's something you can talk to Susan about. And
Okay.
talk to staff and we'll see what information we can get for you.
Yeah,
Appreciate that.
I
No, no.
was roped into it, so.
You're in for a nickel and for a dollar, I understand. We appreciate that, Dennis. Not a
Okay.
problem. Thank you. We do have two other items that we tabled till this month because we tried to figure out our stance and what it all meant. But it deals with our food HFC policies. We have two action items that we need to vote on. I'd like to take 10-2, have someone read that as a motion and see where we are, and then we'll get to 10-3. Does that make sense? From all that we've done on homework?
Would you like me to read the motion?
I'd like someone to read the motion, please.
Pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 10-215F, the Norwich Public Schools Board of Education certifies that all food items offered for sale to students in the schools under its jurisdiction and not exempted from the Connecticut nutrition standards published by the Connecticut State Department of Education will comply with the Connecticut nutrition standards during the period of July 1st, 2026 through June 30th, 2027. This certification shall include all food offered for sale to students separate from reimbursable meals at all times and from all sources, including but not limited to school stores, vending machines, school cafeterias, culinary programs, and any fundraising activities on school premises, sponsored by the school or non-school organizations and groups.
You're gonna have to say motion to approve.
Make a motion to approve the item that I just previously read. Thank you.
Do I have a second? Other follow seconds. Thank you, Hank. Discussion on that item. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimous. Action item 10-3. Mr. Serpensky, I'm gonna ask you to give us the Reader's Digest version of what this is the one that threw us for a loop.
Yes, I can do that.
Can we do the motion first and then include him as part of the discussion, or
We could,
We
yeah.
could, okay, do I have
to bring it to the?
someone
Read the
wanna
motion.
read
To the
the
floor.
motion?
But do you
I
know
make-
what the motion is it gonna be a yes or a no?
Well, it doesn't matter, we'll vote on it.
Vote after
We'll
we
vote
do
after
discussion.
we have discussion. Thank you, Mark.
I make a motion that the Norwich Public School Board of Education will allow the sale to students of food items that do not meet the Connecticut nutritional standards, provided that the following conditions are met. 1, the sale is in connection with an event occurring after the end of a regular school day or on the weekend. 2, the sale is at the location of the event. And 3, the food items are not sold from a vending machine or school store. An event is an extracurricular activity. For example, soccer games, school plays, and interscholastic debates are events, but soccer practices, play rehearsals, and debate team meetings are not. The regular school day is the period from midnight before to 30 minutes after the end of the official school day. Location means where the event is being held and must be the same place as the food sales.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Greg Perry will second. Questions and discussion. Bob, do you want to add anything to what we need to know?
Yes, I would. So, the reason because you voted to participate in healthy foods,
Yes.
you have to vote on this second item, and it can only be a yes or a no, so it's required. You can't not do it.
Yep.
So here's what the exemption means. If you vote yes, this will mean that non-compliant foods such as soda, fast food, baked goods, candies could be sold if they meet certain specific criteria. And the motion contains those criteria. The sale has to occur after the school day or on a weekend. It has to happen at the event's location, and it can't be sold by a vending machine or in a school store. So what this does, it allows some flexibility for parent-teacher groups or student clubs to sell items like bake sale goods, candy, pizza to raise money for approved non-school hour events. So what is a targeted event? It's not PTO or some students can't set up shop every day and sell these non-compliant foods. That would not be allowed. It has to be an organized, specific, scheduled event, a basketball game, a soccer game, a musical concert or something like that, that the school is conducting and putting on. It doesn't include soccer practice. So that's what a targeted event is. What is the location? So if we were having a soccer game at Kelly out on the field, the location is the field, not the cafeteria. So if it's raining out, you can't sell the food inside on a shelter, it has to be out on the field.
This is only for students, right, Bob?
Yes, it's only for students, doesn't this allows students, if they come to a dance and the school club or the PTA or PTO, whatever the right term is, wants to bring in baked goods and sell, you can do it, and you can sell it to students. If you vote no, then all food sold to students on all school premises at any time during the day have to meet the state's strict standards. And that's very easy to violate because we don't have food police everywhere, and who knows, well-intentioned people could do things. The only thing that we would have to do as a district, and this would be as Susan, Jamie, Lisa, and myself, is decide when does the school day end? Does it end at dismissal time, or does it end 30 minutes after our extended learning program ends? Because you have to wait 30 minutes after the school day.
And that's a decision we can make on.
We can make that depending on what you vote.
Usually the school day, regular school day, good.
So say
Pretty
for
much
a,
covered this last month.
Yeah.
We didn't vote, we
We
didn't
didn't
vote
vote
last
on it,
month
we just talked about
because
it.
we looked at each other and said, oh,
We want to make sure we got
We
it
did
right.
the research on it.
Yeah.
so say for a PTO bake sale, this only applies to student sales.
Yes.
So say a PTO bake sale held, say, in the community room, they could sell to other parents or teachers or staff.
You could, but I would strongly
Outside.
discourage that practice because who's gonna make sure a student doesn't come in and buy something? If you have a volunteer person who is doing that, and that could jeopardize your federal funding. But if you vote yes, students can buy it, so
so the yes,
it makes sense to
so-
vote yes.
so the yes vote is trying to make it so that when kids have a dance, when we have a basketball game, that we can have food for kids to buy. That's what we're trying to accomplish.
Right. And it doesn't have to meet the school standards.
Right, it doesn't, just a time frame. That's all, good. Any other questions or discussions?
And this is only for sales,
It's
only
students,
for food that's sold.
Yep.
That's what this applies to.
Yes.
and it's at these targeted events.
Right, right.
So we can't have anybody selling stuff every day of the week, it
Right.
has to be an organized,
right.
school-approved event.
So if it's given away for free, none of this applies.
If you're bringing your
that's-
own food or eating your own food,
There's
it's
one
not.
food group that you can't give to students, I don't wanna, that's separate from this.
That's a different thing. All right. Anything else? All right. All in favor of voting yes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any in favor of voting no? Unanimous. We can sell food at events, targeted events. Thank you all. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate your help. All right, committee reports. We have budget, policy, school building, transportation, negotiation committees. Any chair people, persons, people of these committees wishing to make a report this evening?
Yeah, I would just like to mention that with transportation, as everybody knows, there was a lot of mess literally in the month of February, and really there was a partnership between Norwich Public Schools and Public Works to work tirelessly to deal with all of the issues of sidewalks and roads and make sure that people were safe and make sure that those spaces were cleared whenever there's reports of bus stops or routes not being clear. It wasn't perfect, but it was really good, and there was a lot of hard work that went in to make that happen. And also the snow bus ends at the end of March. I think that might have already been mentioned, but this is the last month for the snow bus.
And I wanna add on to Greg's comments, the city did a really good job in terms of responding every time these snow piles were reported, and one
Piling
area
snow
around
back on.
NFA was problematic because where that little triangle is, there's a sidewalk on one side, which is furthest away from where the buses load, and the side where the buses load, there isn't a sidewalk, and there was a lot of snow there. And anytime there was a report, the Public Works got right on it and moved the snow.
Yeah, we had some help from Board of Ed members that mentioned some places. Thank you, Heather. And of course, we had a list from the last snowstorm that were problematic. We sent that back out to the city. I did send an email to John Salomon thanking him and Public Works for working so collaboratively with us. And every time we said this is a problem at this bus stop, they were there within minutes, basically at one point, to make sure that it was taken care of, so.
If you wondered where the snow went, a significant portion went behind the railroad station on that cutoff. If you look at the snow pile there, it's enormous, it's still enormous.
Any others? Thank you. Board reports, Learn, Integrated Day, NFA, Foundation, Otis Library, any events or anything of significance that would like to be reported?
Few things. Learn is meeting on Thursday this week. So I will be a month behind in putting a report in as usual. IDCS meets next Wednesday for their board meeting. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. They have their student-led conferences this week and a book fair. That'll be Thursday and Friday. There's early dismissal on those days. The staff versus student game was last week. The staff had to recruit some alumni, otherwise they would have been in big trouble. The students played awesome. It was a very close game, and staff won by a couple points. This is the last month of Read to Ride, a program I think Norwich Public Schools is participating in as well. I would mention as well, there's a teacher at Integrated Day Charter School who's been there for a very long time, who had an accident and a brain injury earlier this year, and she is making exceptional progress, and we're really hopeful and excited that she's gonna make a full recovery. So that was just good news that I received recently. And the 4th and 5th graders have a play on March 25th. That's a Wednesday.
Thank you. Anyone else?
The NFA board meetings, their last meeting in February was the same night as our board meeting. The March meeting is not open to the public. They're having their board appreciation dinner. So they don't meet until later in April, so my next report from them won't be until May.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Greg, for the event, March 14th, you mentioned?
It was March 14th.
I probably misheard it.
Oh, March 25th
March.
is the 4th and 5th grade play,
And what
on
time?
Wednesday night at 5:30.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Before I look for a motion to go into executive session, I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Bob and Susan for your leadership, your guidance, working with the budget, having the meetings, putting it all together all the time. You guys are good. You guys can be counted on, and we appreciate everything that you do. So thank you. Meg?
Pursuant to Connecticut General Statutes 1-200, members of the Board of Education move to go into executive session for discussion regarding the superintendent's mid-year review. The board may ask Superintendent Susan Lassard to participate in some or all of the executive session. We have a motion on the board.
Second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all. We will adjourn to executive session.
Just doing
7:45, we are now out of the executive session.
Getting stuff ready for-
No votes were taken. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Wait a minute, I got one more thing to
Dennis,
ask
yes, sir.
about. You know, when we were still campaigning, we were up on the stage here at Kelly for what was called a debate. It was more like a question and answer piece of crap. But when we get people to come over here and speak, they're speaking so softly you can't understand them, especially the young. Why don't we have a microphone there? And something that the people out there can't hear anything either.
We are going to do that. We moved that podium, and we moved this whole thing, and we said we were gonna see how it worked, and you're absolutely correct. When that gentleman, the young boy stood up today, he was very soft-spoken.
Yeah.
So we're gonna work on having a microphone for that.
I didn't wanna call them out.
No, you're spot on, spot on.
Yeah, I
Good
missed
point.
the part that he was doing teachers and
Yeah, I
then
did too.
Kelly. I was like, what's going on at Kelly?
So-
And that was,
We'll take care of that, Dennis. Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, when they redid the room, I mean, there's external microphones in the ceiling, so supposedly it's supposed to pick you up at normal speaking voice, but I couldn't hear
No,
it.
it wasn't just this guy,
Especially
I
if
mean,
he has
Yeah,
his
yeah.
back to some of
it's
them.
been every young person that
Yes,
stood behind
hard to
there,
hear, yeah.
and you couldn't hear them, and
Right.
I know you couldn't even hear them up there. And I'm not wearing my hearing aids today for some reason, but even when I was sitting in the second row and somebody was speaking over here, I couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
we'll take care of that for next meeting. Promise. You hear me, Joe? I got you. Do I have a motion for adjournment?
Oh, yeah.
I second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thanks, John.
Good night, everybody.
General